Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy, the United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan.
When President Franklin Roosevelt wrote those words, he originally penned a date that will live in world history, but crossed out world history and changed it to infamy. However, it remains to this day a date that does live in world history. That day changed the United States of America. It changed the social fabric of the country. During the next 3.5 years, 16 million men served in the military. That represented approximately 1/3 of the entire male population in the United States 15 years of age and older. Imagine the effect of having 1/3 of today's male population leaving their families and communities. That's the way it was. From farmers, machinists, doctors, plumbers, steelworkers, teachers, welders, policemen, engineers, shop owners, and yes, even professional baseball players. Over 500 Major League players traded team uniforms for the uniforms of the country's armed services. Future Hall of Famers Ted Williams, Joe DiMaggio, Bob Feller, and Hank Greenberg spent their prime athletic years serving their country. After the attack on Pearl Harbor, Baseball Commissioner Kennesaw Mountain Landis wrote to President Roosevelt asking if Major League Baseball should continue through the conflict. Roosevelt replied with what is now referred to as the Green Light Letter, where he stated that baseball was best for the country and provided a necessary distraction for people working long, hard hours in support of the war effort. However, the minor league teams, those teams who represented cities and smaller towns, particularly in the Midwestern part of the country, were devastated by the lack of quality players. Over 4,000 minor league ball players were drafted into the military. The minor leagues shrank from 44 teams to just 9. If you didn't live in a major league city, the chances you once had of being able to enjoy the nation's pastime on a hot afternoon or a warm summer evening was nearly impossible. Those opportunities were no longer available to most people. Fearing that baseball might completely disappear as America's pastime, Philip Wrigley, the famous owner of Wrigley Gum and the Chicago Cubs baseball team, had a bold and brave idea. Women playing baseball. The All-American Girls Professional Baseball League was born. It started with just 4 teams, all within 110 miles of Chicago. The Rockford Peaches, the Racine Bells, the Kennesaw Comets, and the South Bend Blue Sox. The rules were a combination of softball and baseball. The first games used a 12-inch ball and underhand pitching. As the rules evolved, the league grew to a peak of 10 teams, all in the Midwest. In time, the size of the ball decreased, the bases were moved further apart, and overhand pitching was introduced. Those women playing in the league had a strict code of conduct. They were forbidden from smoking or drinking in public, were required to always wear lipstick, and be accompanied by a chaperone. But make no mistake about it, these women were elite athletes. The first tryout in Chicago attracted over 200 young women. Just 60 were selected as charter members of this historic endeavor. Although they didn't make the exorbitant amount of money Major League Baseball men were paid, they were well compensated for the time. Earning between about $45 to $85 a week, they made much more than the average female factory worker, and even more than the average male skilled worker of his day. Many of these women were able to support their entire families during the war with their salaries. As the league grew, with more teams and more athletes, so did their popularity. Stepping off a bus or train, wearing their ball caps, their iconic one-piece short-skirted tunics, carrying well-worn ball gloves and bats, they were often greeted as local celebrities. They were swamped with autograph seekers and could find their photos in local shop windows. Even national publications like Time, the Saturday Evening Post, Newsweek, and Life magazines featured multi-page stories. Movie newsreels shared footage highlighting their pitching, hitting, running, and sliding to millions of Americans attending the movies. In 1945, World War II came to an end, but not the popularity of the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League, or as the league marketed itself, the world's prettiest baseball players. In 1948, at the peak of their popularity, these women drew an astounding 900,000 spectators to the ballpark. The parades that honored their success were as large as those held for returning World War II heroes. With the coming of the 1950s, the male counterparts returned to the diamond. Television coverage led Major League Baseball to new heights of popularity. The Lipstick League, as some called them, struggled to keep the public's fickle attention. Attendance and popularity began to fade. In 1954, the league folded. It was largely forgotten by the general public. But nearly 40 years later, there came a resurgence. Hollywood, recognizing a good story when they hear it, produced the popular film A League of Their Own. Highlighting this remarkable group of women, the movie took this incredible story to unprecedented heights. Many of the former stars were invited to the White House, appeared on late-night talk shows, and finally were inducted into a special permanent display at the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York. As history remembers the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League, it will recall more than just a wartime substitute. It will remember a testament to the talent, dedication, and passion of hundreds of women who dared to break the norm and play ball. They shattered stereotypes, captivated audiences, and left an indelible mark on all sports. Today, more than half of young women in their school years participate on teams, clubs, and sporting leagues. So, if you stroll through your local park or rec center on a perfect summer evening, a crisp fall afternoon, or a misty spring morning, you're likely to see young girls. Lots of them. Kicking a soccer ball, hitting a softball, serving an ace, dribbling a basketball, or even dropping a dime in the crease on the lacrosse field. Chances are not one of them will know about the pioneer women who paved a new path all those years ago. But those women from way back probably wouldn't care that they aren't remembered by these girls. Those women would most likely just be thrilled to know that they blazed a trail in showing these girls how to get out and play. Get out and play, and pass it on, from passiton.com. If you enjoyed this bite-sized podcast, subscribe and pass it on to a friend. Passiton.com, the podcast, is available wherever you get your podcasts.